give yourself those moments that you need to settle in. It doesn't always come right away. Everybody's body adapts different to the different surfaces that we kind of roll ourselves out on. And every day might be different. So it's okay to acknowledge that and go with the flow. And releasing anything that can be released here. So the obvious choices here might be muscles of the face. Maybe you have your fingers curled in really tight. Sometimes we have some clenching going on in the belly or other places around the core. None of those things need to be engaged right at this moment. And not too much work to be stable here as well. And the muscles that help you breathe, that's what needs to be moving. And that's what needs to be alternating, growing, expanding, and relaxing, shrinking. Check in with yourself, with how you're doing at this time, this evening. And just use that feedback. Find yourself how you want to move through class today. There are always opportunities to find those challenges, but there's also opportunities to find greater ease if that's what you need. About your self-care and being honest with your needs. So let's take a few more breaths. I'll stop chatting. Try to follow the path of your breath here for a few moments. Let the next inhale be a little bit deeper and starting down by the belly and growing that inhale all the way up to the top of the chest. Exhaling to let the front of the body descend towards the floor, letting your breath leave. One more time. Breath starts at the belly. Feel that expansion all the way up the front. And then exhale, letting it all go. If they're not there already, walk the soles of your feet onto the floor. You can choose how close in you'd like to tuck your feet to your body. The further away they are, a little more accessible movement can be. And let's keep the balls of the feet pressing down into the floor. Start to lift your heels up off the floor. So the balls of your feet, the toes, all pressing down. Lift those heels as high as they'll go. And then let's set the heels back down. And we'll do that a few times. We're taking it nice and slow. There could be some cramps that creep up. If that happens to be the case, just pause, maybe shake a foot out. Do a different movement to try to get that to release. Imagine you're slipping on the highest heeled shoe that you possibly could. That's how high to try to bring your heels. talk as if I wear high heel shoes. I think it's been about 10 years since I've worn a high heeled shoe. No thank you. And let's press the heels all the way down into the mat. Feel your feet just kind of spread wide on the mat. Arms down by the sides, maybe a little bit, a couple inches away from your body. Let's press into the whole feet. Lift the hips up. You don't have to lift into the highest back bend. You can kind of lift part way. Give yourself a little bit of movement or time right here in this baby bridge. I'm kind of wiggling my hips around. I'm just reminding my low back that it has a lot more flexibility than it likes to sometimes have. And then we can take this into more standard movement. Bringing the hips back down to the floor. When they touch down, lift them back up. As you bring the hips down, can you think about your spine piece by piece, reaching for the floor? Each of your vertebrae is connected by its own joint. Can you use each of those joints to set your hips back down? Whatever you want to do on the way up is just fine. As you're lifting up, think about how your legs are firing. Your glutes are all firing here. And we're trying not to let one side do more than the other. Let's lift it up and hold. If you're interested in lifting the hips a little higher, maybe creating a little more of a back bend, you can do that. You might press the arms into the floor to kind of help make that bridge a little more bridgy. Only if you're ready for that, or if you're interested in that pose. Notice if your knees are caving in, or can you keep them pointed forward? We've been here for a little while. We're going to take another couple of breaths. If your breath is getting fiery, it's usually a sign you're working really hard. And then let's joint by joint set your spine back down on the floor. Releasing the full weight of your hips onto your mat or blanket or whatever you're on. And then let's take the knees very slowly side to side. Windshield wiper, get a little twist going. Your slow windshield wipering can get a little bit faster. I don't know that I would go too crazy here. But you can pick up the pace a bit if your spine feels ready for that. And let's take the knees and bring them over to the right and take some time there. Your legs may need to rearrange a bit. Maybe they need to slide a little closer, a little further apart. Let's walk the arms out, slide the arms out into T position if they're not already there. And then reach greatly through the left arm. That right arm, we want it to just be kind of stable there. Reaching through the left arm. And think about lifting that left arm and just hovering it right above the floor. We're still reaching through the fingertips. And that hovering arm. Flip your palm to face the floor. A little inward rotation. And then let's flip that same arm in the other direction. So we're probably going to end up with the palm facing the back wall. And then one more time, inwardly rotating your arm. And then externally rotating your arm. We'll set that hand down any way that's most comfortable. Bring the knees to center. Bring the knees to the other side. This doesn't necessarily have to be the world's largest twist. If you love twist, you can go for that. But you can keep those knees kind of floating up above the earth if you like. Let's bring some strength here, some engagement through the upper body. So we're reaching through the right arm, right hand, still touching down on the floor. The left arm's just kind of a weight. And then let's lift and hover the right arm. Pretty close to the floor. Start to internally rotate the arm. You might pause somewhere where your hand is facing down, maybe your thumb. And then let's externally rotate that arm. And then internal last time. And external last time. One more moment here with this external rotation and the reach all at the same time. And we'll drop the hand down, drop the arm down, send the knees back to center. Let's pull both knees into the chest. Give yourself a moment of rounding. Maybe rocking in your rounding. Maybe rolling. Maybe circling. We're going to find our best, most easiest way towards seated. You just start to make those transitions that you need. Maybe off to your side, maybe you're rocking yourself up. Take your energy into account. And then make yourself a nice comfortable seating place with cushions, with supports. Maybe you love being flat on the floor. Settle your sits bones down, settle your legs into whatever shape you would like them to be. And then find that little natural baby arch in your lower back. Keep it natural. Try not to exaggerate. Maybe roll the shoulders back, pull them down towards your pockets if you have pockets. And then we'll start to find that exaggeration in the spine here. We don't want to start when we're just sitting here. So we'll allow the back ribs to press back. Feel your pelvis shift a little bit here, and you can drop your head down. Think about leaning back into that spine. Pressing the spine back, pressing the ribs back. The belly and the chest are going to come forward, and the head's going to lift. And you can go all the way past neutral, find that arch, exaggerating into your cow. And then moving back, leaning back into that rounded position in cat. And forward again. And so this is going to be our cat and cow. Again, we're moving pretty slow, so you might think about picking up the pace a bit. But trying to feel every moment of the journey between cat and cow. So it doesn't matter to me how fast you're going, as long as you are experiencing every bit of it. Let's round the spine again. Hang on to your legs. Any way that your legs are positioned, just hang on to them. And keep hanging on to them. Lean your upper body back as far as you can go without letting go of your legs. It's going to look different for different seating positions. That's totally fine. Think about tucking your tail a little bit more, creating even more rounding here. Legs are glued to the floor, anchoring you in place. Keep that strength. You can use your arms to help guide you forward. Coming back into that cow type position. Arched spine, shoulders down. I'm going to try to hang on to our tall seat as you lean forward. And that's going to look different for everybody. You're leaning forward till you feel some sensations. Might be in your lower back, might be in your hips if you're cross-legged. Avoiding pulling ourselves into a particular place. Let your body guide you into where it wants to go. And then let's sit it up back in center. Bring the right hand down on the floor. Walking the right hand out a few steps. And then we're pressing back down through both sits bones. Let's take the left hand, bring the fingertips to the top of the shoulder. And then let's find a few circles. All right, as I was looking at the screen, somebody changed positions. It's always a little funny. Their tile changed into a different spot. They didn't change yoga positions. You guys are always doing that. Let's circle the other direction if you've not yet. Take this circling a little bit quicker than we've been moving. A little bit faster paced. And let's bring that elbow towards stillness, pointing that elbow out, more or less like out to the side. Finding a little bit of a twist here. Imagine that I asked you to bring your elbow to meet the opposite knee. Now, you don't have to actually do that. It's just kind of a guidepost here. Open it back up, and then twist back. And we'll just do that maybe 3 more times. See if you can keep yourself weighted on your bottom here. We're trying not to rock one way or the other. Good. When you're next opened up, we'll take that arm, reach it all the way up, and then bring it on to center, both arms out. Bending at your wrist, just press through the hands, through the heels of the hands, spread the fingers out wide. And then we'll set the left hand down, tipping over here to the left. That left hand can slide out as far as you'd like it to go. And we'll take the right fingers to meet the right shoulder top. Even give it a little squeeze. And then we'll circle elbow, elbow circles. Or if it's comfortable, bring a little bit of speed into this circle. Let's circle the other way. Let's point that right elbow straight out to the side wall. And we'll twist it. Our chest is going to kind of face down towards your left knee. And then we're going to open back up, maybe squaring your chest to the front. See if you can find some stability in your abdominals. What needs to engage? What needs to relax? It's fine if you don't know the names of the muscles. We don't have to get that technical. There's no test. Just think about the areas of your body in very general terms if need be. And when you're open to back up, we'll take a big reach here. Take your time getting there. Wait for everyone. Bit of breath here in the side body. And then let's come on up, arms reaching out parallel to the floor. This time we'll curl the fingers in and make some fists here. Maybe like just a slightly tight fist. Not quite loose. A little bit more than loose. Start to rotate the hands around here. And this doesn't have to be any kind of particular circle. It's just moving the hands. That's all. Keep pressing down through the sits bones. You might start to get some burning in the arms. Mobilizing the wrists at the same time that we are getting some blood flow into the shoulders, tops of the arms. And then we can just drop the hands all the way down. Let's make our way onto hands and knees. We're staying pretty low to the ground today. We won't need our feet, at least for standing. Might need them for other things. Let's bring the hands onto the floor in the position that feels the most comfortable for them. If at any time your wrists start to hurt, you might try walking your hands like a half step forward and create a little bit of a wider angle, a larger angle. Let's take that tail and just wag it side to side. See if you can isolate this wag to the pelvis and the very lower part of your back. So the shoulders are staying relatively in the same place. And I realized when I was talking to someone this weekend that not everybody can do that. You can't always isolate the movement of your pelvis. Some people have a really hard time with that. So if that happens to be you, just know that that's really normal. When you're next wagging that tail over to the left, let's hold that spot. And then walk your right hand, just slide it over to the left side of your mat. So your hands are going to be pretty close to one another. That right hand might even be a little further forward than the left. Keep exaggerating that side bend. Keep pressing that left hip point toward the side, maybe toward the same shoulder. Almost like we're doing a crunch, but shouldn't be too much crunching and too much muscular activity. We'll slide the right hand back into where it started. And then we'll bring the right hip point out to the side, wagging your tail to the right. try to hold it there. You may need your weight to rock a little further back or a little further forward. And we'll walk that left hand over closer to the right hand, perhaps a little further forward on your mat or just somewhere. Somewhere where you're stable, you're not balancing too much. See if you can notice your breath in that side, even that side that's a little crunched. If your breath is deep, can you feel a little bit of movement in there? And we'll walk the hands back to center, hips back to center. Lower on down to the forearms, elbows to the floor. And if this is like really not comfortable for you to have your forearms on the floor, if you get too squished or anything, you can always come back up to hands. And this is just a good alternative. Let's take the left foot, we'll kick it out, straight back behind you. And then press through your heel. Invite that knee as straight as you can. We're going to keep that leg really, really straight. We're going to rotate the leg though so the toes point out. So it's coming from your hip, it's external rotation of the leg. Pause once you've gotten to that point, and then again press through the heel. Toes are pointed out here. Let's rotate the leg back to where we started, toes pointing down. Re-engage everything. And then we'll rotate the leg out, toes out. See if you can't lift that foot up a little higher. Nice smooth breath here. And then let's rotate the leg back to where you started. Bend your knee, heel in towards your bottom. And then slowly set the knee back down on the floor. Walking your knees nice and wide. Maybe your feet come toward one another. You can press your bottom back in the direction of your heels, whether or not it gets there. You could be quite upright still. And think about maybe shifting some weight side to side a little bit here. If your elbows are still touching the floor, it's not too hard to get there. If that's not a movement that appeals to you though, you can just stay in your relative stillness. Start to pull yourself back forward, back towards that forearm table. You might need to, well, you will likely need to reposition your knees. We're going to kick the right leg out, back behind you. Remember to press through the heel. Ooh. Now because we're lowered down, you might have that leg really kicked up there, and that's totally fine. If you happen to be on your hands, your leg may not be up as high as mine is. Keep pressing into whatever part of your arm is touching the floor. And then let's find that external rotation in the leg. Point those toes out. A little shake and a little bit of wobble. Coming back to the toes pointed down, heel up. And we'll do do that one last time, pointing toes out. A little bit of a hold here. Press into your knee that's in the floor. Make sure that leg is doing stuff. It's not just hanging out. And then rotate, point those toes down, bend the knee, heel in towards the bottom, and set the knee down on the floor. Let's walk up to the palms if you're not there. And then we'll walk, hands back towards you, and all the way up to standing on your shins. Done a lot with our spine today. Our spine's pretty warmed up. Lots of fun low back stuff happening. So, for this position, you can have your feet flat on the ground. Not everybody likes doing that. If you like your toes tucked, you can do that as well. And you might want to change it up after we start moving around and showing you what I'm planning to do here. So we'll just start by moving some arms a little bit. Reach the arms all the way up. I'm just going to turn for a sec here. Oh, that doesn't help. My hands aren't on the screen anymore. Flip your palms to face forward. I swear mine are. And then reach the arms, press the arms back a little bit. And think about if you need to widen your arms to press them back. Trying to tuck your ribs in a little bit here. And then let's flip the arms, rotate the arms inward. Just as far as they'll go. Like we're trying to like screw a light bulb in. Two at the same time. And then let's externally rotate the arms. And don't worry if like internal and external getting all mixed up. All we're doing is just corkscrewing those arms. Good. Tops of shoulders down. Let's move in the other direction this last time. And then we'll just slowly bring the arms all the way back down by your sides. Turn your gaze to look back over your left shoulder. And so there might be a little bit of twisting going on here. Take your left hand. See if it's possible to just touch your left heel. If your feet are flat on the ground, this is going to get more difficult. And if it's just like way too far away, isn't feeling so great, just bring your hand to touch your lower back. That's a good option here. Let's rotate ourselves back to center. Right hand. So first do right gaze. You're going to turn to look over your right shoulder. And then the right hand is going to touch, reach back. See if you can contact that foot, heel, or maybe lower back. We're going to keep doing this. We're going to move it side to side. So coming back to the left, reaching back, and then back to the right. You're going to move at your pace. And if bigger arm movements are what you're looking for, then as you reach back, take the other arm, reach it up. Think about how much you're comfortable bending your back here. You may have done camel pose or seen pictures of camel pose. It's quite intense. This is the babier version of it. This is a great way to mobilize and strengthen if you want to get to that big old deep back bend at some point, or if you already practice it regularly. Let's take a few more turns before we move on, try to remember which hand you started with. Even yourself out. Whenever you've evened yourself out, come on back to center. Bring your palms back down to the floor. Start to walk your knees back or your hands forward a couple of steps. So come into like kind of a weird, like long table. So you might have a very obtuse angle going on in your wrists. Again, that's always a great modification if wrists get pain. And you might have a big obtuse angle in the knees as well. Just keep pressing down into the floor. Back body, nice and strong and stable. And test and see what happens if you walk the hands forward another step or a half step. And then just redistribute your weight so it's not all in the hands. Bring some back into the legs, the lower body. And let's lower ourselves all the way down. Connecting your pelvis to the floor. Maybe stacking your hands and resting your forehead or your chin. And bending your left knee. Bringing your heel, your foot down in towards your bottom. And just kind of like pulling it in there. Maybe like you could, in theory, work really hard and pull it in tighter. But could you do maybe 50% of the amount of engagement you could do here? And keep that going. Just lift that same knee, that left knee, just slightly up off the floor. Just slightly. Maybe you'll feel a little pull across the front of your leg. Let's just drop the knee back down towards the floor. Slide that same knee, that's our left knee, off to the side. So we're making that little frog leg position. Knee out to the side, I'd say no further forward than your hip. That's pretty extreme. If that feels good, you can be there, but don't feel like you need to be that far forward. And see if you can allow your pelvis to be really heavy here. The parts of it that are touching down. We're not so much pressing it down as we're just allowing the weight of it to be held by the floor. Breath into the back of the body. There's lots of space back there. And then we'll slide that leg to straight. Bring it back behind you. Reposition yourself here. We're going to leave that left leg on the floor. We're going to bend our right knee. And the right heel's coming in towards the back of your body. Not trying to make too much of a contraction here. All right, we're not bodybuilding. We're doing an active stretch. So the right knee is going to lift off. It's just going to hover. Maybe a little press down in the pelvis here. That might make it more accessible. And then let's straighten, or bring the knee back down rather. Sliding the right knee off to the side and finding your half frog over here. Your right foot might be flexed. Might feel more interesting if you flex it. Take a few breaths here to see if your body can adapt to this kind of awkward position. It's not a position we put ourselves in quite often. Lots of hip opening. Breath is your friend here. When we're no longer moving, the breath is what's going to help you open. It's going to help you release. It's going to help you relax. And we'll take our leg, slide it back, all the way back. And let's take a few breaths here in our belly down position. Think about what more your body might need. Do you need some more movements or some stretches or some anything? You can explore that at any time here. Or you can start to find a comfortable position for relaxation. And you're welcome to stay on your belly. It's not one that many choose, usually, for relaxation. If you liked it there, you can stay there. Whatever time you need with movement is yours. But if you're already in your Shavasana, your relaxation pose, it's time to embrace this part of the practice. Feel if there's any spots in your body that need a little bit more opening. And use your breath to help that settling. Imagine your breath could move that spot. If you could breathe into that spot or spots. That practice. Or you can just allow yourself to drift for a little bit. back to your inhales and exhales. Noticing the feelings in your body as you start to bring a little bit of awareness back. Start to bring a little bit of energy back in here, wiggling some fingers or toes. Even just a little bit of shifting around. These movements, these shifts can turn into big reaches, stretches, whatever you might need. And perhaps coming over to one side or making a different plan. How you might want to come back to seated. We'll end our class together. One final breath. On your next inhale, reach your palms up overhead. Pressing your palms together and lowering them down. Thumbs to your heart. Bowing your head to the light that you're carrying within you. And I thank you for being here, spending time with all of us. Until I see you again, may you have health. May you have health. May you have wellness. And may you have peace. Namaste.